Let's talk toys. What's up, you guys? ToyShiz here, and I got a really rockin' retro shiz vid just in time for yet another Taco Tuesday. Hope you guys are enjoying some tacos today. A little bit of Spider-Man, the animated series action. I heard they go together really well. We're going to be taking a look at the 1996 Spider Wars action figure line, which just happens to kind of coincide with another toy line coming out this week. Well, actually, it came out a few days ago, but, well, officially, it's been, you know what, just forget it. It's Marvel Legends, all right? So, Marvel Legends will be having a new line that features Doppelganger and Hydro Man for the new Far From Home. And I just love the little touch in there that they threw these two together once again. They're action figure buddies. I really like that little nod. Even if it wasn't something they meant to do, it's still pretty cool and ironic to see. This wave right here gave us a lot of great characters to go off of, especially from the animated series. Doctor Strange, the Black Cat, Doppelganger from the comics, and of course, good old Stalker Hydro Man. After that, Mary Jane.
Boo. Guess who?
As always, and then some dude named Cyborg Spider-Man, which we will get into with all kinds of awesomeness. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a few more tacos, maybe a tamale if grandma's in the kitchen. This is 1996 Toybiz Retro Shiz episode of Spider Wars.
It's the new Spider Wars collection with Cyborg Spider-Man and the coolest weapons around. Spidey transforms into a missile-shooting machine. There's Doctor Strange and his mutant clone Doppelganger Spider-Man crawling into action. And the evil Hydro Man with super water-shooting weapons.
Time for a spider-seeking missile. No, Hydro, it's time to shut your trap.
Spider Wars figures and playsets, each sold separately.
First up for Spider Wars is, of course, Cyborg Spider-Man. This is totally an example of when I say that I never used to collect the Spider-Mans from each of the individual waves, but this Cyborg Spider-Man just had something different to him. He just looked awesome, very much into the robot thing, even as a kid, and I just had to have this figure. He is particularly glorious. In fact, this guy just screams the 90s, especially with that old artwork like on Marvel Comics covers. He just looks awesome. From his giant robotic arm, even the details, the little blue details on his hand, his belt. I like all this war-torn, like, I guess they'd be wires. Perhaps they're little stitches in his suit. I like his bandages. I really like that he's got like one cyborg eye. He's got the headband, tattered clothes. They just really went all out. This was a lot of fun, especially it's almost like a battle damage sort of Spider-Man, or perhaps you could say a futuristic Spider-Man. And in fact, this Cyborg Spider-Man was repackaged in a 2-pack along with Deathlock, which exactly the same figure, but now you just got a really cool Deathlock. So basically you were just getting a robotic 2-pack. He came with this giant, I guess you would say, harness missile launcher. And this is what I mean. I love missile launchers. They really went all out on the detail here. Not only do you get 3 missiles, but you know, this thing all fully works, shoots them and everything. These are on a swivel, so they open up. This thing will rotate. This fits onto his back. This thing rotates. It's, you know, in fact, it's got 2 points of rotation. And then, of course, what you did was this little handle would slip into the side port right here. Had 3 missiles, which all look the same. They almost look like little Nerf gun missiles. 2 went in here. So you would just open this up, pop the missile in, get it to stick. Go ahead and slip the control unit into his hand. And bingo bango, you got yourself one heck of a Cyborg Spider-Man. And basically what you would do is push these in right here, and you would just fire it out. This one worked as well. And then if you really wanted to get fancy, you'd have this where you could open up the hands. Let's get Doppelganger in here. Let's see what we can do. And you would go, wow, we missed. Boom. But you know what? Since Doppelganger is nigh indestructible, that's what you get. So this is an awesome Spider-Man figure. He's got missile launching action. He's got a robotic cybernetic eye. I highly, highly recommend the Cyborg Spider-Man. By the power of the Vishanti, we have up next on our list Doctor Strange himself, the master of mysticism. Again, this was great because he was a character in an episode of Spider-Man, the animated series, specifically the Sins of the Father story arc. I was really stoked to get Doctor Strange, and I was really hoping that we would have gotten Dormammu. We got him outside of Spider-Man the Animated Series in more of a subline. We actually never even got a Baron Mordo, which would have been great as well. But suffices to say, this Doctor Strange was pretty cool. He came with this mystical orb sort of thing. It looks like a conjuring of Kirby Crackle and blood and everything else. And then if you can see right inside, there's like a Venom demon head kind of thing, tongue sticking out. It almost looks like an old Ninja Turtle sculpt. It's really funny to me. This actually rotated. It was just a cool accessory, a very mystical accessory, appropriate for Doctor Strange. But this was the character that was just one of the standouts in this wave. Of course, there's several, but this was a very fun figure, of course. He had all the articulation that you needed, and the hands were perfect. Articulation-wise, he had it at the waist, he had some swivel at the shoulders, nothing at the wrists or the elbows. His head looks like it would move, but it's severely stuck in place, so it's not going anywhere. He also kicked out, and he had knees with some foot articulations. But the best part is that he had a bendy cape right here at the bottom, and if you bent his cape just in the right fashion, you could get him to stand, and it looks like he's floating. That was our stands back in the day. You could have him hovering over his mystical little orb right here. This was a really great Doctor Strange. A lot of attention to detail. I like all the paint on it. It's painted really well, and I love his spotted gloves. This is a great Doctor Strange, very old school, very, very much in the vein of the Toybiz sort of play feature while being an action figure. One of the first Doctor Strange figures. Actually, he might be the first Doctor Strange figure, but a great one to behold. You gotta get him. Now, I'll admit, when the Black Cat finally showed up on Spider-Man the Animated Series, I was stoked and confused because, I'll be honest, I wasn't really too familiar with the Black Cat. You had Catwoman, that was part of Batman the Animated Series, but being that this was one of the first times I was really introduced to the character of the Black Cat, I was really confused. Having read the comics just a little bit beforehand, or maybe it was after, and then seeing how they kind of messed with her origin story. Yes, it was still Felicia Hardy. However, she was involved now with the Captain America Super Serum, and she could activate her powers via like a glow. It was odd, and the fact that her costume didn't really look like the one from the actual show. The show actually had her more covered up, as of course most, you would expect from a kid's cartoon, but the Black Cat is known for her more sexy attire, if you will. The figure came with a number of accessories, including a briefcase full of jewels and gold, including Aladdin's lamp for some reason, and you could actually close this briefcase, and it worked really well. So that's something interesting, I guess you could say, for a cat burglar such as her. And she also came with this giant cat grappling gun. She really cannot, look at the thickness of that handle, and then look at her hands. It's not even like a close thing. I could get it in her hand, but it was ridiculous. But what you would do is just simply unravel the wire right here and push the button on top, and that would shoot out. And I loves me some projectiles, that's for sure. As far as the figure went, this was a good Black Cat figure for back in the day. If you went just from the head, that was a good Felicia Hardy head sculpt. You kind of could go either way for the animated series or the comics. So I think they probably had initial designs, and then they went a more subdued route for the actual cartoon. But she had articulation in the shoulders and at the hips only. She did not have rotation anywhere else. An overall nicely sculpted figure. Nice paint on the face, the hair, the cuffs on her hands, the fur motif. It worked really, really well. And again, being one of the first Black Cat figures, I think they did a great job. I like her little collar. Everything worked well. Certainly not the best Black Cat that we've ever gotten, but it will look nice on your Spider-Man animated shelf. And next up, we're finally getting to one of my favorite Spider-Man characters, the SpiderDoppelganger. This was, when I knew that they were doing a doppelganger figure, I lost it. And this is when, around the time that I was reading Maximum Carnage, and just seeing that being like, what is this monster? He came with one accessory. It looks almost like a Venom. It's a Venus flytrap, but very venomized in a way. And you would simply just open up the mouth just like that. Look, I love that right there. 96 Marvel Toybiz. That's so cool. Very interesting accessory, and it was displayed prominently in the Spider Wars, which we will test out. Will Hydro Man be eaten by this plant? But essentially all you would do is put your finger in there or a figure, and it would clamp down. It doesn't hurt. Don't worry, I'm fine. SpiderDoppelganger figure, though, is just still to this day the best SpiderDoppelganger. And like I said, the Marvel Legends one has just come out, and it's a great figure, but this one still tops it. It's so cool. Articulation at every single one of the arms. The legs are on a ball. He kicked out. He had knees, and his head actually rotated up and down. They nailed it on this figure. It would have been amazing if every single hand had articulation to it, and the shoulders and the wrists, and they could go all out. But this guy was monstrous. He looked like the doppelganger. He was the epitome of what you could do with the doppelganger. He was bulky. He's actually a really heavy figure. You can get him into all kinds of creepy poses. Man, does he look good with your Maximum Carnage. If you don't have this figure, go on Mercari, go on eBay, go somewhere right now, and absolutely 100% grab this doppelganger. You will love it, I promise. Which then finally leads us to our final figure of the Spider Wars Toybiz set, Maury Bench, aka the Hydro Man. And this, again, was another character on the actual Spider-Man, the animated series. A very creepy character. He went after MJ. He was a big-time stalker. And Peter Parker Spider-Man, he had to put a stop to that because he's like, no, don't be touching my Mary Jane. A lot of accessories, too. Really encapsulated the water effect that he has, his water powers. I think they nailed it. I'm not one of those people where I need human hands, human arms to make it Hydro Man. This is Hydro Man. If you just had regular arms on him, then that would just be a guy in a black t-shirt. He does have some serious Rob Liefeld pecs going on. It kind of looks like that Captain America image. He's beefy, he's bulky, but dang, he's got some fantastic paint to him. Now, this is more of a clear plastic right here, but they did put that white on it to give it that water wave effect. This side right here is a different type of plastic. It's see-through, but it also has a piping to where you would insert the accessory here, and he can actually shoot water out the tip of his fists. As far as articulation went, he had it at the head. Both of the arms just simply went up and down. He had ball rotation at the hips, kick back, and he had knees with a waist rotation. The one thing is, though, you can stand him up, put a peg in the bottom of his foot. He gets very heavy once you have his arms up. This arm in particular is extensively heavy, so he needs to kind of have a lean to him when standing. This was his water effect, which was heavily reused by Toybiz. In fact, Hydro Man actually got a repaint as Sandman, oddly enough. You could just do that. That was part of the Maximum Clonage box set. This accessory right here just simply plugged in, and again, if you wanted to, on this side, simply fit it over his wrist right here. And this kind of got in the way. You could kind of do it either which way, but you could do it in the sense of you have two fists that were spraying water, I guess you could say. Or if you just took this off, filled it with water, then he would have kind of like an extra looking accessory, and you would pump this, and this, of course, would shoot water. An interesting play feature, I have to say. You know, for a kid, for wanting to play with water and everything else, that is great. The best part about this Hydro Man is his water base. This thing looks incredible. It even has wheels on the bottom, so you can even roll him like he's moving across. Water would do. They went all out with this figure. This is one of the best Hydro Man figures ever made. Yes, they have come close to capitalizing on it, to giving him his credit, his due, but this is the best Hydro Man figure just in terms of water effects, stand, the overall aesthetic, the look, the character. They nailed it all around. This is a must. Along with Doppelganger, you have to have this for your Spider-Man shelf. And the moment you've all been waiting for, will Hydro Man fit in Doppelganger's Venus flytrap accessory, just like they did in the Spider Wars commercial. Drum roll, please. Here we are. And yes! He does. The commercial did not lie. Now, if only we could have that skyscraper kingpin lair. Man, I'm still looking for one of those. If anybody knows of one, let me know in the comments below because, yeah, I need to get one of them because that looks awesome. So I'm curious to know what you guys thought about the entirety of these Spider Wars Spider-Man the Animated Series figures by Toybiz. A lot of great memories, a lot of great figures, to be honest, based on a lot of great characters that showed up in the actual cartoon. These bring back a lot of memories, and I hope that with these videos, it does the same for you. I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food, but most importantly, you got to get Hydra Man and you got to get Doppelganger. Get Doctor Strange too, and then Cyborg Spider-Man, and then Black Cat if there's still money left over, because yeah, this is a great, great wave. And when you do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.
It's the new Spider Wars collection with Cyborg Spider-Man and the coolest weapons around.